you find yourselves lost or unsure of your location, you'll be able to use these drills that I'm about to teach you in order to relocate yourself.
Getting catastrophically lost doesn't happen in an instant. It's a process, and when you don't see the thing you're expecting to see, you start to become disorientated.
Thanks to these things, we pretty much know where we are at all times at just the touch of a button. But what do you do if you join the British Army and get lost on deployment? One Royal Anglian are stripping it right back to map reading and using a compass. It's a skill a soldier is taught in basic training, but when deployed, it can be their lifeline against tricky terrain.
I think there's a general wisdom that core navigational skills using a map and a compass have fallen behind a bit, as society is now very used to GPS, using Google Maps on their phones and not having to think about where they're going day to day because their computer does that for them. In a battle space, GPS will likely be denied. You might run out of batteries for your phones and your lovely technological devices, but the one thing that's not going to fail you is a map and a compass.
If you're unsure of a certain track, say it's a Y split or many junctions or even two spurs coming down, what you can do is take a bearing on your map and then put it onto the ground.
Here in the Peak District, on the Leak training area, it's very rural, in amongst farms with many hills and a large space to get lost in. So what's the best tip to find your way back to base?
If I was to get lost here, I would focus on mostly the farm buildings because they're most prominent, they're not going to disappear, so they're always going to be there. You can use the wood blocks, but some places they get chopped down, so there might not be a wood block there to go off. It might be one on the map, but in person it might not be there, it might be missing.
And is that actually quite common to get lost whilst you're out on a deployment?
Yeah, it is very common. So some of the places we go to, so Kenya, it's quite hard to nav around, so you haven't got many prominent features, so you've got to learn what the contour lines are on the map. So you've got a hilltop, you've got a saddle, so you need to know what they all will look like on a map. So then if you do have to do a resection to relocate yourself, you know what you're looking at and you know where to actually look.
With a deployment to Kenya on the horizon, these soldiers need to get this skill mastered. For some, it will be the first time they've deployed there.
No, I've never been to Kenya before.
So it's going to be quite different, I imagine.
Yeah, 100%. I've heard it's obviously going to be very hot and hilly as well. Especially as tank gunners, we've got to look out for the ground in Kenya. Since we're obviously slower than the rest of the companies, and we're going to have to just take our time and make sure we reach every point that we need to correctly.
The 3-month deployment will give the soldiers a chance to hone in their battle skills.
So One Royal Anglian have been training other nations around the world for the last few years. And Bull Storm is an opportunity for us to focus on ourselves and remember and retrain in our core infantry skill set, which is that of warfighting.
The one we're staying at?
Yeah, the
Cool.
one that's staying at.
As well as knowing where they are at all times, this navigational training week is designed to make sure they plan their routes to the finest detail, which includes drawing them out on the ground, quite literally. Here they're using what they have to hand to give them a bird's eye view of the training area.
We'll often use model pits around our orders delivery. So when we're looking to go forward for any action or defensive action, we'll look to get the ground detailed as best possible, so for orders people can see what we're using. It's an opportunity that we've seen gap in the timetable to really just look at something that often gets overlooked and is something that will really benefit from using the training going forward.
So to summarise, what should you do if you find yourself lost on patrol?
When you're moving on a patrol, you'll map out your routes on a route card and you'll be expecting to see features along the way. So you might say in 100 metres we'll expect to see a track junction, then we'll see a building. And when you don't see the thing you're expecting to see, you start to become disorientated. The thing to do then is to stop. Don't try and push on because you're compounding the error and you're making things worse and you'll likely end up catastrophically lost. So you need to stop, you need to come up with a plan to try and figure out where you are. And what the soldiers have been learning today is resection. So it's taking bearings or back bearings from known points on the map to try and triangulate their location. It's a bit of a technical skill, but it's an absolute key skill to figuring out where you are.
It doesn't just stop with map reading. These soldiers are also learning how to cover and look out for when they need to stop to check where they are, a vital component when out in the elements. Kirsty Chambers, BFBS Forces News, Leak Training Area. Thanks for watching. For more from BFBS Forces News, like and subscribe to our channel.